Salakia for the interruption, man. Salakia for the interruption. But going on, right, as we just read, and we are gods, but we shall die like men, man. So it's not our role to die like men, right? As it is written, he who's in fact, let me just go ahead and grab it. It was Jeremiah chapter 49. That's what it was. It's the book of Jeremiah chapter 49. And verse 12. For thus saith the Lord, behold, they whose judgment was not to drink of the cup have assuredly drunken. And art thou he that shall altogether go unpunished? Thou shalt not go unpunished, but thou shalt surely drink of it. For I have sworn myself, saith the Lord, that Bozrah shall become a desolation and a reproach, a waste and a curse, and all the cities thereof shall be perpetual waste. Right? So, hey, the Edomites, right, have caused us to drink of the cup of wrath, man. Well, really, it's our own deeds that led us to that, but our own deeds have led us to the Edomites, right? That the wicked sitting in that seat, as I was referencing earlier, Job 9 and 24, right? And we've drank in that cup of wrath, man. But now the cup's about to turn, right? It tells us that in the book of Lamentations, right? How the cup's gonna turn back into Esau, man, and he's gonna drink of the cup, right? As we just read here in Jeremiah, the 49th chapter, right? Because what's going to take place is we're going to make that transition from manhood to godhood, man, right? From mortality to immortality, as we went into on one of the previous lessons, man. 1 Corinthians 15th chapter, right? So the Heavenly Father has plans, man, right? But again, how is it that we're going to make that transition to immortality, right? How is it that we're gonna be able to do that, man? Let's go ahead and jump to the book of Hebrews to get that answer. This is Hebrews chapter 8 and verse 8. It says, for finding fault with them, he saith, behold, the days come when I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah, right? And so those, let me go back a verse actually. Verse 7, it says, for if that first covenant had been faultless, right, the covenant that he made with our forefathers, then should no place have been sought for a second. But we know that there was a second covenant, right, that was established. Which what, man? That second covenant was established because the first one, we weren't able to move in perfection. We weren't able to follow those laws perfectly because we got this flesh upon us, man. Like we read earlier, right? The judgment has been tainted, man. So we went from that godly state to a state of manhood. Verse 8, it says, so there was a second covenant to be formed, man. Verse 8, it says, for finding fault with them, he saith, behold, the day is come, saith the Lord, when I will make a covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah. Right? So with the Israelites, the 12 tribes of Israel, man. All right, not any other nation, right? But those original nations that the Heavenly Father had a covenant with. We broke that covenant, but he's remaking that covenant, and he's made that possible through the blood of Yahushua. That's why Hebrews chapter 9 and verse 15 reads this, and for this cause he is the mediator of the New Testament, being Yahushua the Messiah, right? He's the mediator of the New Testament, that by the means of death. So the means of his death was done because of what? For the redemption of the transgressions of them that were under the first testament. So to redeem those that were under the first testament. Who were under the first testament? The Israelites. Yahushua's blood was spilled to redeem them, to allow them to return to that godly estate. So there could be judges over this earth who judge it in perfection, man. It says, they which are called might receive the promise of eternal inheritance. Right? So they which are called, which we're hearing the calling, hey, some of us might receive that promise, man. Some of us might be sealed and delivered through these hard times, man. But nonetheless, let's go ahead and continue. That's what we're striving for, right? Hebrews 8, chapter 8 and verse 9, it says, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers the day when I took them by the hand and led them out of the land of Egypt, because they continued not in my covenant, and I regarded them not, saith the Lord, right? So we continued not in the Lord's covenant, man. So it was broke. Verse 10, it says, For this is the covenant that I will make with them, with the house of Israel. After those days, saith the Lord, I will put my laws in their mind and write them in their hearts, and I will be unto them a God, and they shall be unto me a people. And they shall not teach every man his neighbor, and every man shall his brother, saying, Know the Lord. For all shall know me, from the least to the greatest. So those laws are going to be written within us, man. We're all going to be made perfect. You see that? Those laws are going to be written within us. And if the laws are written within us, then we will not die. That's how we will be returned to a state of immortality, man. 1 Corinthians chapter 15 and verse 56, 57. Yeah, 56, I like it. It says the sting of death is sin, right? So the instrument that brings forth death is sin, man. It is sin that brings forth death. You may have thought it was a gunshot or whatever the case may have been, but sin is what actually brought it, according to the word, man. Right? So if you have the laws written within you, you aren't going to sin. It's just that easy, man. It says, and the strength of sin is the law, but the law will be written within you, so that you will be fully strengthened against sin. Your flesh will be perfected through Yahawashi HaMashiach. And this will cause the whole world to follow after the rhythm and the beat of the Israelites, man. Of Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai, leading to a theocracy on this earth. This is Romans chapter 7. Verse 1, it says, Know ye not, brethren, for I speak to them that know the law, how that the law hath dominion over a man so long as he liveth. For the woman which hath an husband is bound by the law to her husband so long as he liveth. But if the husband be dead, she is loosed from the law of her husband. So then, if while her husband liveth, she be married to another man, she shall be called an adulteress. But if her husband be dead, she is free from the law, so that she is no adulteress, though she be married to another man. Wherefore, brethren, ye also are become dead to the law by the body of Hamashiach, that ye should be married to another, even to him who is raised from the dead, that should bring forth fruit unto God. So this is showing us that what, man? That he's using the analogy of the law, right? Because you got to understand the context, the times, right? He's talking to the Israelites who knew the law in great detail, man, great depth, probably even more about the law that we know today, man, right? But, you know, and I say that because, you know, times have changed, right? We try to keep up with the Sabbaths, and, you know, we're rehearsing the righteous acts to the best of our ability, man. But nonetheless, the Heavenly Father sees us striving for perfection, man, right? Which is what we ought to be doing, you see? And he's using an analogy to the Israelites regarding the law of how if a woman is not loosed from the law of marriage unless her husband be dead. I was pointing this out because we were made dead unto the law of the Heavenly Father because we broke it, man. We made the contract void. And the analogy, the marriage contract went void, right? So we were cut off, just like in the analogy, right? It would be, you know, the wedding contract would be cut off, right? Because the husband had died or whatever the case may be. Hey, well, we got cut off, man. You can find that history in the book of Hosea, right? Telling us that we'd be cut off, that we would be no longer the Lord's people, right? That's why the book of Romans, the 9th chapter, right, goes on to tell us in the book of Hosea, they will be called his people who are not called his people. It's referring to that exact prophecy, man, you see? But, right, going back into it, we were cut off from the Lord, man. So now we've been remarried through who? He that was risen, as we read. Yahawashi. Through Yahawashi, we have been rebound to Yahweh, man. That's why he is the mediator. That's why we say Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai. You see? It's not really that hard to understand, man. This is, you know, Israelite 101, which, you know, I in fact love, because it just ties everything together, and it just allows everything that you knew or thought you knew to kind of come together, and the dots to be connected, man. Call Yahushai to be able to see it, man. But anyway, going on, it says, verse 6, It says, but now we are delivered from the law, that being dead, wherein we were held, that we should serve in the newness of spirit and not in the oldness of the letter. Right? We understand that we're perfected through Yahweh Shai, man. But we strive for perfection. We try to prove our faith by our works, as it is written, right? Pursuant to the book of James, right? But going on, verse 7, it says, what shall we say then? Is the law sin? God forbid. Right? Because you'll have, people will get confused. Oh, so am I doing something bad by following the law? Right? By trying to be perfect? No, God forbid, man. Yeah, I wish I didn't die to give you license to sin. Going on, it says that we should serve in the newness of spirit and not in the oldness. Oh, Salakiah. Going on, it says, is the law sin? Verse 7. I'll just run it back. What shall we say then? Is the law sin? God forbid. Nay, I had not known sin but by the law. So Paul's saying he wouldn't even known what sin was except for the law was given. The law is given so we know the do's and don'ts according to the Most High's mind. That's what we'll find in the book of Deuteronomy, the 6th chapter and the 4th verse on down, man. The Heavenly Father gave us that law so we knew the do's and don'ts according to Him. The rights and wrongs, not according to man, not according to your to the king, not according to your great grandma, but according to the Heavenly Father Himself, man. You see, that's why modern science will still prove that if you break the law, you will die. Because this was given to us since the very beginning by the Creator, man. He created the creation, gave us the laws on how to sustain life, and it still stands firm to this day, man. How is this not credible to the people? Well, I'll tell you how, because it hasn't been revealed to them, man. It has not been revealed to them through the spirit and power of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai. It's only been given unto the elect. That's why the Lord spoke in parables, right? And He said that pursuant to, I believe that's Matthew, the 10th chapter and the 13th verse, or the 13th verse, the 13th chapter and the 10th verse. But nonetheless, going on, it says, He's even going to go on now to further expound upon the fact that he wouldn't know what sin was but by the law, right? He says, for I had not known lust except the law had said, thou shalt not covet. So he's saying, I wouldn't even know that it's a bad thing to lust unless the law said, thou shalt not covet, right? Hey, your nature, your natural man thinks it's okay to be staring at some stuff, man. You see something you like and at least just to stare at it, man. No, well, the scriptures are telling you no. No, the Lord told us no. Because what's that going to do? It's going to stir up some stuff, man. Because if you're in the other guy's shoes, and for example, if that's your woman and he's staring at her like that, you ain't gonna like it, man. Right? So we've been given laws on how to conduct ourselves, man. And those laws are going to be written within us, right? And Lord willing, we endure until that take place, man. So with that said, Lord willing, that was edifying. Double honors unto the elders and the apostles at GMS Great Millstone, and a sincere peace, love, blessings, salutations unto all those of you hopeful, faithful, potential members of the elect out there doing the best to make the calling of your election sure. Shalom wa abad ball.